Hi everybody, hope everyone is doing well so far. It's been a while since I've done some of these videos. Today I thought I would take some time to really reflect and just give some updates just how I'm doing so far. So far it's been about almost a year since I got my first full-time job last year in 2024, which is a big milestone for me because ever since I got with my master's degree, I was kind of waiting around for a couple of months, just trying to find something to do after I got out of college, especially since a lot of my experiences have been informed and shaped by my time in school. So it was very difficult for me to kind of transition out of that college mindset and think into the working world. And not to mention that the economy was pretty bad, and it still is pretty bad now in terms of just the job market and the prospects of it all. So it made for some difficult months where it was hard to figure out what do I do moving forward with my career and just where do I go. I mean, I think about the constant grind and just constantly having to figure out whether or not I was going to make it and figure out if I'm doing enough to actually excel at these jobs that I'm applying for. And sometimes it gets very demoralizing, just seeing yourself get rejected one after the other from all these different job apps, and then sometimes people just don't reply to you. And sometimes it just makes you feel like as if maybe you're not good enough. And then thankfully I was in a place where I was able to find a place that was looking for someone like me, and I interviewed, I did the best I could, and then now here I am. And so I'm really grateful for that, and I'm really fortunate to be having this opportunity and being at a place where I'm allowed to thrive and have so many different avenues in which I'm able to grow, especially when it comes to data, evaluation, and just thinking about the nonprofit public space. So I'm really excited about that and just really looking forward to see what this could all entail for me moving forward, as I'm fairly young and just in this space, and I really do want to see where I could go from there. So I'm really excited for that, and really grateful to just see where that is moving forward. But anyway, ever since I got my first full-time job, after a lot of this struggle, I was at a point where I was just trying to figure out my life outside of college, as it was my first actual full-time job out of college. Because if you look at other moments or instances, I've mostly had part-time jobs or internships or fellowships, which isn't quite comparable to a full-time work experience. And I found that it was definitely a bit much just trying to juggle school and then work at the same time, and then trying to have a bit of a social life as well at the same time. And that made it very difficult for me to focus on certain things fully. But now that I'm out of school, I can now focus exclusively on work full time and be able to build my life up from there. So that's something that I'm proud of, and is definitely putting me in a place where I'm allowed to explore a little bit and have a little bit more of a social life and just network a lot more. For last year, I just been on this huge, ambitious adventure where I was constantly going out a lot more. I was partying, I was eating at restaurants, and joining D&D gaming groups where we played D&D after work. All this stuff that has really helped me to build up my social life in a way that I've never done so before. Now that I have an external stressor like school out of the way. I mean, there's life stressors for sure, but it's a lot easier when you don't have to think about grades constantly every now and then. So that's definitely is a blessing, and I'm really grateful for that. And I would say last year has been a lot of fun. 2024 has definitely expanded my horizons and really got me to build my social life and just find out who are people that I would trust and get along with, and who I value connecting with. And so it's been very fun. It's often to the point where I was hanging out about 2 or 3 times a week, which is ridiculous. And definitely is a lot. And not to mention that I did go on a lot of different ambitious adventures back then. I mean, I went all the way to Seattle, Washington, from South San Francisco Bay Area in California, all to go on this road trip just to do a conference talk in Seattle and then come back. An, an epic road trip that was tiring, but was a lot of fun. And definitely was a highlight for me, for sure, last year. Just all this adventure that's been going on top of just trying to network and kind of build myself up and just seeing what's out there for me. Man, it's phenomenal, and I'm definitely very fortunate for that. And as well as just trying to put myself out there to see where I fit in the nonprofit data world, all of which are valuable experiences that's got me to maybe explore myself a little bit and definitely see where I could go from here moving forward. As a lot of the schooling has been done with, and now it's time to live and go out into the real world. And so that was my life for almost the entire year. And eventually it got to a point where I think it was about like July or August where I was at this point where I just wanted to slow down a little bit more. Maybe cut down on a lot of the hangouts I would do and only save it for certain occasions, and maybe be a little bit more intentional about who I spend my time with and just how I make use of my time. Because I'm at this point where I'm a little bit too tired right now to be constantly going out more than once a week. I mean, I'm just feeling a lot tired. My energy levels are pretty down, and I find that it's very exhausting having to keep up like this, and not to mention not having enough time for myself just to do the things that I want, as it is really draining if you're constantly hanging out with people all the time. And especially since I do experience burnout, and there are times where I just like being by myself, just doing things on my own. And I'm okay with that. And it's hard to do that when you're constantly going out. And so I definitely was feeling that sense of fatigue of this highly intense social life that I was having last year. And maybe it's also just me getting older too. Like, I just don't have that same stamina that I used to have when I was in high school or in college. So I definitely do want to slow down a little bit and maybe just enjoy a little bit more space for myself. It doesn't mean that I'm going to rule out hanging out for special occasions like birthdays, for example. It just means I'm a little bit more intentional with my time and just remembering to make sure I make space for myself at the end of the day, because that's something that I do not want to compromise. As I find that the more I hang out, the more energy that I take away from my own personal life to take care of my own needs and spend time with people I care about, like my parents or my sister. And that's time that's taken away that I'm not using to full effect to recharge and to heal. And so I'm definitely at this point where I want to step away from a little bit and maybe just slow down a little bit. And this also applies to the kind of activities that I would like to do with my spare time, where it's a lot less intense than, say, constantly going out dancing or doing all these ridiculous stuff, or do anything that's like super borderline into the hedonistic territory, where it's like going to arcade and playing, arcade games, which kind of feels like gambling. A lot of that stuff that just I feel is just a huge money sink, and not to mention it's just repetitive and sometimes gets to a point where it's just very materialistic. Because to be honest, I really don't need more stuff in my life. Maybe once in a while I might treat myself out a little bit, but I don't need like an abundance of toys or things like that. Like, I feel like I've gotten everything I wanted. So I'm okay with that, and I don't see the point of doing more of something if it's just going to sink in my money or my time. It just makes me feel empty at the end of the day. As for me now, I'm at this point where I'm okay with just going on a hike or just going on a nice relaxing dinner with someone where it's all about the connection than just shallow, superficial interactions. Like, I like having small group interactions where it can be a little bit more intimate and maybe a little bit more personal than just full on, just straight up, just adventure time. And I'm okay with that. And I think I'm at this point where I just want to slow down. So there's that. And I think that's okay. Because sure, it might seem like I'm going to miss out on a lot of things, but I'm okay with that, because at the end of the day, as long as I feel fulfilled and content and comfortable, I think I feel comfortable enough to be where I am and just kind of stay there. So because I'm at this point where I feel like I've experienced enough to the point where I can just slow down a little bit and maybe be intentional with my time. Doesn't mean I stop learning, just means that I'm very cautious about how I use my time and making sure that I make it count when it matters. It's almost like as I get older, time really is important to me. And you really, maybe in some way, you might at some point learn to value your own time and just how much time that you spend with whatever you're doing. Like, time is precious. It's the one thing that you can never get back. And especially important when you're talking about people in your life who come and go. There's not a lot of time in the world to do all the things that you want to do or to do just everything at once. So you have to pace yourself, and especially when people, they could come and go in lots of different ways. Things change. Sometimes you spend time with someone and then not knowing that all of it could end. Maybe your friend moves away, or maybe something happens. And it's those precious moments that remind you just how short life can be. And so it's important to cherish the time that you have and make it count, whether to spend time with your loved ones, the friends that you care about, or just doing things that matter to you. At the end of the day, the more you become intentional with your time and just know what you want, and then you find that sense of security that makes you feel at home, the better and much closer that you get to building the kind of life that you want. And that's kind of where I am now. And I think that even though there's more to learn, I think I'm okay with it. And I think I'm doing the best I can to just get there. So while it took me years to realize this, I think this is a good start. And I don't know what's going to happen in the next couple of years or just what this looked like now that I'm slowing down. But I do hope in some capacity or another that I hopefully grow enough that I'll be the kind of man that I want to be. Someone who's true to himself, who values meaningful connection with others, and ultimately lives a principled and noble life to the best of his ability. And so that's where I hope to be. And so anyway, that's it for this video. I hope you all found this video to be meaningful in some way. And if you all want to chat or respond or say something or support me, feel free to like this video, put a comment down below, or subscribe to me. And as always, thank you for watching. Hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day and take care. So, see you around.